Hello everyone, I'm Aaron, a breeding naturalist. Welcome back. Bird feeding is a big deal. Billion-dollar industry, millions of people doing it. But are there any negative impacts to birds from bird feeding? In particular, does having a bird feeder in your yard make your birds a target for bird predators? So glad you asked. Let's chat. Over half of households in the US provide bird food in some format. That's a lot of bird feeders. That's a lot of bird feeding. And those numbers are true of many other countries around the world as well. So, this is a question that I get every once in a while. Is there a concern behind this? Is there anything to worry about? And in particular, what many people ask about, what they're worried about, is they're bringing lots of birds to their yard, right? And they're loving it. It's a great thing having all this sort of wonderful concentration of birds so close. But they worry that by making this concentration of birds, they're making an incredibly tempting target. They are actually putting the birds in their backyard, the birds they love, in danger because other animals that eat birds are going to find this amazing hotspot and they're going to come in and eat their household backyard birds. It's an interesting idea. It's definitely something that lots of people have had a concern of, and actually some research has been done on. And so that's what I wanted to share with you today. There's a group called Project Feeder Watch. This is a project run by the Cornell Lab of Ornithology. And they looked at predation rates at backyards with feeders versus backyards without feeders and found actually pretty equivalent rates. They found the most common predators were, and this is a bit of a surprise, I was expecting it to be household cats. Turns out at bird feeders, the more common predator, Cooper's hawks and sharpshoot hawks. Cool. That was a fun thing to learn. But the rates of predation were pretty much equivalent. So not a major worry there, it seems. A group of researchers out of Ohio State University found a slightly different picture. They were looking at nest predation rates and if those correlated with bird feeder concentration. And they found some interesting results. They found that American robins that nest in areas that have high concentrations of bird feeders, neighborhoods with lots of bird feeders in backyards and such, that also have high numbers of crows, suffered higher nest predation rates. So the crows were coming in, presumably for maybe the bird feeders, maybe for other reasons. But when you got this high concentration of crows in an area, they were finding the American robin nests and eating and predating the nests. That sounds kind of concerning. However, it's more complicated because another species that the same study looked at, northern cardinals, they didn't really find any differences in nest predation rates of cardinals depending on crow activity or bird feeder concentration or anything. So it's apparently complicated. That being said, even if there are some slight negatives here and there are also distinct positives. When you bring a group of birds together, yes, you are increasing the numbers of targets potentially for a sharpshoot hawk or a Cooper's hawk. But you're also increasing the number of eyeballs scanning the surroundings that are going to notice that sharpshoot hawk or Cooper's hawk coming in. So there's safety in numbers. Also, by providing a ready supply of food that's easy to get to, you're minimizing the amount of time that a bird has to spend foraging, and that's often kind of a risky thing for a bird to do. So because the birds know where the seed is, they come to the bird feeder, they eat their food, and they get back to shelter quickly. That's a way that maybe you're reducing the danger to a bird by providing this constant, reliable food source. So overall, I think that it's pretty clear that bird feeding is still definitely an advantageous thing to do for birds, while keeping in the back of your mind, there might be things that change your mind about that. If you happen to know that there are a fair number of bird feeders in your neighborhood, and if you notice that there are lots of American robins during the breeding season, and if you suddenly see an increase in the crow population, okay, maybe take your bird feeders down for a little while. Maybe. There are also other things you can do. If you keep a shelter over your bird feeders, that can often really help keep them kind of out of sight of predators. So think like under an awning or an umbrella, something like that. Certainly to help keep birds safe, keep bird feeders away from windows, avoids collisions, that's good. And provide cover that's kind of nearby. If you put your bird feeders somewhere that's kind of close to a tree or a bush, somewhere the birds can flee into easily and seek safety, that could be a good thing to do as well. So, some things to mitigate if you're concerned about predation rates at your particular bird feeder. But, enjoy feeding birds. Feeding birds is fantastic. Backyard birding is wonderful. And so I hope that this information allays any concerns you might have or satisfies some curiosity that you maybe even didn't know you had. So let me know in the comments if you have other questions about bird feeding and bird feeders, and if you've noticed any kind of differences in predation rates, if maybe you have a target-rich environment in your particular backyard with your particular bird feeders. Thank you very much for the view. Subscribe to the channel if you like this kind of content, and until next time, enjoy the natural world.